Okay, it's Monday, January 3rd. It's about midday here. I'm pretty much done trading, just browsing through the charts. I thought I'd make a video here just from the standpoint that everyone has their unique way to apply the strat, and I certainly have mine. I've discussed before how I look at opening price action early in the session as my main foundation, then sometimes some secondary trades later on. This, for example, is the 15-minute chart here to the right. I kind of look at all 26 bars of the day and see how they're unfolding. But it all still lies within the foundation of the strat. And for example, this is the daily chart and this is the weekly chart. And I'll even look at the monthly chart and everything else too. But I mean, on the daily chart here, for example, you can see this is a 2-down day. So in a second, I'll just show you how I browse the charts. And, I do this to see some of the trades I might have missed during the day. It's also practice for my particular approach, which is really pretty simple on many ways. But the interesting thing for me is always how it applies to the strat and what's developing. So if you just look at, I'll flip through the charts in a second here, or the stocks in a second here on one of the watch lists I have, just to show you how quickly this I go through this and how my approach kind of at the open aligns with the strat. But if you look at like AbbVie, for example, here, the first stock, it's a 2-down day. Now, when I look at the weekly chart, I still see this at the moment as an inside bar on this. So to me, anytime I see inside bars, I'm thinking trading range at the moment. So in other words, if tomorrow we get some kind of opening price action above, for me, the midpoint of a prior day, but also just a normal 2-up day, then that could be a good buy relative to what's developing strat-wise as well. So that's, again, how I look. Now, just to show you, and then I'll flip through the stocks one by one quickly, and I think you'll get a feel for this. Like AbbVie today, it's below the midpoint of yesterday, heading lower. Obviously, the first 15-minute bar headed down. So there's just nothing I'm interested in on this stock. In terms of buying it today for me, because I look at it at the open. Now, I know there are some people who would maybe see a broadening action here on the daily chart if you think this is just a little trading range, and you might intraday look for some type of new low, and then you can see here the 2-down, 2-up, and that might be a scalp buy, but I'm not looking to do that. But that's another way to approach. Like I said, everyone has their own style. I'm just going to show you relative to the open how things develop, because that works for me. It's a very consistent approach, and I'll start there. But there are certainly many ways to apply the strat. So anyway, as I hit the space bar here and just go down stock by stock, again, I could see here Airbnb immediately. It's a 50% rule type of trade. And, we started lower here. Now, again, in the bigger picture, if I look at the weekly chart, the strat is definitely showing, again, a 50% rule on the weekly chart. I see this little bar, even though it might technically be a 2-up, as an inside bar kind of, or inside price action, let's call it that way, of this big green bar. And therefore, I'd be comfortable buying this stock on some type of signal. And what you have here, for at least the way I look at it, on the 15-minute chart, I see here it opened down, but right to support, which is that yellow line. It's not really above the midpoint of yesterday, but what we had here is then we broke through the first push down, red to green on the second bar, and that also aligned with the 50% rule of the prior day. So that's a signal I look for that happens to align with the 50% rule, that aligns, in my opinion, with a trading range that could be in place here. So that's why this would be a good opening buy for me if I was following Airbnb at the time. And you can see we pushed through higher. But other stocks, Adobe, again, midpoint lower here on the day, started red and started down, so I'm not interested in it. In the bigger picture, it's a 2-week down. So again, nothing I'm looking. And again, I'm talking about buys here. Obviously, you could reverse all this and look for shorts, but I'm just talking about looking for buys as I go through it. This stock here, and I won't mention every name. You can see here the symbol on the weekly chart, so you'll know what I'm talking about. I'll just kind of go through it quickly. Red below the midpoint lower, first bar down, not interested in buying. Again, midpoint lower on the daily. I'll zoom this out a little. This red bar had a little bit of a red to green move at what I would normally call the open or support. The question is, would I want to buy it? If I looked at this, again, let's say I'm really hyper-focused on this stock, I'd see the weekly chart here getting like a 2-down, but into this support area. And this is it's kind of broadening action. And again, this is the way my mind works with the strat. And then you're seeing this red to green kind of move early. I know I'd have to take out the intraday high as my key barometer, and then that would trigger the 50% rule. So the question is, would I buy it here on this red to green right here? It's iffy, but it's definitely something. And then I'd monitor it heading up here, and you could see we did take out the intraday high, which I think is the key level here, and then we come right back down. That's why you can get in here and kind of have a no risk situation, knowing that that's really what has to happen for this stock to do anything on the upside. But anyway, that's just one example. Again, just quickly, now this is interesting. Amazon, this is a perfect 50% rule trade, and you can see here. I consider, even though it's probably technically a 2 up, I see Amazon the last 3 weeks here just inside, inside, inside. That's trading range. So we're at the bottom of the range. We open up below the daily low here, and immediately on the 15-minute chart, because we gapped up a little bit, we're above the close, and then we kind of hold that area and make a new intraday high. That new intraday high is right, on the third bar. It's right in line with the 50% rule of the prior day, and that's why Amazon is a good buy today, given the way I look at opening price action. Daily chart, 50% rule, and the weekly chart, which is in a trading range. BABA, again, I see it in a trading range here, quickly 50. Is this, yeah, we're inside here. And when I see an inside bar, I'm always thinking trading range before. I know a lot of people look at breakouts, and that definitely has a place given the context, but given this action here and this action here, the big green bar I'm seeing is a trading range. So obviously on the red bar, I wouldn't be buying it, but then once I see it head up and make the new intraday high, which is holding, that's a 50% rule again here. It's a little later in the morning than I like, but you can see here, even it did break the intraday high, that first bar, and it did head up a little bit, and that to me should be the low of the day, and that's how I judge it. Let me see if there's a few other stocks that had just strong openings right out of the gate. This one actually, Bed Bath & Beyond, above the midpoint yesterday, heading up. This one's at the bottom of a prior weekly bar. So I guess technically for me, it's I don't really love, I'd rather see this being green and heading higher, but it is what it is. So the opening here is definitely a 15-minute green bar with continuation buy. In terms of context, it's not like I love it, although it's a 2 up buy here, and maybe I could see this heading up to try to form a 2 up on the weekly eventually, but I don't really love it. And it did go up, and again, now it's come back. So there's so many other better type of stocks to be looking for to trade than this, but technically it gives you that entry, and there's a little bit of justification here. But anyway, Baidu, 15-minute. Now I like this because it's green up, and then anything here at the moment is just an inside bar or a potential trading range with a bias to the upside. Here we get the again, nothing I would look midpoint lower to start the day. Then we come up and break the. It's not quite the 50% rule. So when it starts down like this, I'm not really interested, only in rare cases when it hits support or it breaks through the intraday high, and that aligns with some other things I'm looking for. This one's a little tricky right now, so nothing special. Anyway, midpoint lower, it's open, just green kind of at the top of the overnight range, and then start immediately down. So no green follow through higher here. And again, this stock in kind of a trading range from last week. Blink. Again, 15 bar heading down, nothing heading higher on their daily chart. I'm just looking for a good buy. Again, midpoint lower, 15 down, not interested. Here would be an interesting, let's see if this would be a stop out kind of thing. I could see me probably buying this here. Yeah, you're at support, first bar down, green up, buy this right here. Then I'm seeing at the moment we're at the bottom of a red bar, so maybe we're going to start up during the week. It's still going to be an inside bar unless we break above that weekly high, which is all the way up here. It's all the way last week. So we're starting the first day of the week up, and then we're breaking above 2 inside bars. So that always kind of looks possible. So I would have bought it here. Let's just say it went up, and then I would have got stopped out the midpoint of that 15-minute bar. That's the way I do things. I want immediate follow through. So this would have been a small loss for me probably if I took it. And let's just try to get to one more that has a Coinbase, Costco. Costco, I was actually interested in coming into the day with this, if we were going to get a 2 up type of day, but if anything, we just start midpoint lower, red bar down. So I can go on and on and on. Crocs actually is a good buy here. Let's see this one. Midpoint higher of the green day before. You have the red to green kind of move at support. So that's my buy here, kind of heading up, breaking through. We went up higher. And on the weekly chart, We do have the broadening action on the downside, the inside bar from last week. So we're still in inside price action, which is a little tricky. You know, you have to break above here. And that's why I have this line in probably from my weekend analysis that I want that to break. That could be the inside bar breaking up on the weekly chart. But in terms of the daily price action, this would have been a kind of a buy that worked out relative to my opening price action, the daily price action, and some of the strat analysis that's developing here. Even though, again, on this chart, I still see, even though it's broadening action on the weekly, after all this weekly red, it's going to take a while to really work its way back up here. And it's going to be all kinds of trading range activity, I think, to start. But this could be the start of Crocs maybe broadening out and starting higher in the bigger picture. I think it's going to, it's not going to be a quick strong move up. You still see here, it's not even a pivot machine gun like over here. I mean, you have to break above this daily high, this whole range here before it even starts going. And so this buy here is the very beginning of that possibly. And again, there are better context charts. So I guess I'll end it there. It kind of gives you a feel for how I use my opening price action, which is a very simple approach actually, but how that blends into all the strat analysis I like to look at. And when it all lines up, it sets up a lot of high probability trades, and that's where you can develop consistency as long as you're disciplined to take losses when they happen and follow your trading plan.